Hi, everybody. Welcome back to She's Healthier with Aurea Care. We are on episode 2, and today we speak about Medicine 3.0, postpartum care, and cosmetic gynecology. In our first podcast, we spoke about Medicine 3.0. Well, for the others who missed it, let me just give you a recap of what's the journey of medicine, right? Medicine 1.0 was all about treating the symptoms, very little, evidence based. It was all about treating the symptoms, and this was the largest learning curve that the world has seen. And then it led to medicine 2.0, which was a lot about evidence, evolution in genetics, diagnostics, pharmaceuticals, and antibiotics. And this is where the world saw the hockey stick growth in terms of lifespan. We grew from a average lifespan of 35 years to about 70 where we are now. But it also had some pitfalls. The large amount of generalization and one size fits all is what the learning for what our doctors tell us today, and which is what we're trying to cover in medicine 3.0 as to how we make it personalized, preventive, and holistic. Let's dive in a little more with our very beautiful guests today. We have Dr. Lavanya Kiran. As we've spoken about her earlier, but let me give you some tidbits that you may not know about her yet. She hails from Mandya, and she also owns 3 US patents in medical technology. One of them actually can do wonders. It can tell you if you're going to deliver naturally or not. Sometime you can tell us more about how you do that.
Yes, certainly.
And here we have Dr. Ashwin. He hails from Salem. And like I told you, he's a third generation gynecologist. But let me tell you the other side to Dr. Ashwin. I mean, I'm sure every doctor has empathetic side to them. That's what makes them and their profession. But there's one side to Dr. Ashwin. When he became a parent, that became kind of a mission of his life as to how he can do his part to save preterm babies. He himself had a his son was born at less than 24 weeks as an abortus, and that means really a death sentence to most children. But he ensured he and his wife sailed through a very difficult 3-month journey right at the NICU.
You make it sound a little tragic, but I think that we managed it too. It was an experience by itself, and it was a huge learning curve. And then I think we had a lot to learn from it. It also gave us a lot of life lessons as well. And then that is something which kind of led to me to think about other options as well for other parents, giving them a chance to help their baby survive as well. So if you look at that, actually, see every baby which graduates from an NICU, it's actually even bigger than graduating from Harvard,
Totally.
because only if the baby graduates from an NICU, there's even going to be a chance for it to graduate out of Harvard. I mean,
Yeah,
Harvard anyway.
and
Yeah.
actually, we've seen so many babies don't make through out of.
And I think that brings us to your story of how you set up something which impacted 1,900 babies in your hospital.
Reason what we did is, what I understood is, even for a doctor, spending quite a few lakhs for NICU care, whether it's your center or any other center, kind of you don't really plan for that, because what happens is, I'm sure none. I mean, nobody wants to have their baby born preterm, not knowing whether the child make it out of NICU is something which is horrifying, because at every point of time when you feel that the days are being numbered, so you want to know when the days are not going to be numbered.
Thanks, Dr. Ashwin, for sharing this deeply personal story. And that also brings us to today's topic of, postpartum care and what's the best way to, integrate some of the traditional sciences which our dadi and nanis have taught us, and you as doctors have also kind of helped us evolve that. Tell me a little bit more, ma'am, about what do you think of traditional care that used to happen in the past, like maybe when you had your son or you have seen some of your peer groups have. What's that wisdom about?
I have always been lucky enough to have a big family, been brought up with a lot of people around me. And I've had my grandparents with me, I've had my mom, entire battalion taking care and making us go through our traditional thing. Sometimes I do doubt, was it the right way of taking care or not? But then today I try to, when I talk to my patients, because I really love taking care of my women, being a gynecologist, that's my birthright kind of a thing, and I really want to pamper women. What I work for corporate hospitals, and I have realized that we shouldn't be giving up our own traditions. I wish, our ancestors, they've had a lot of good culture. It's just that I feel that they fail to explain the science behind the tradition.
Examples of that both of you have
Something
seen.
like, the massages, tying the abdomen, so many things. But when it comes to decades back story, I'm a local Kannadiga, so the Sambrani, after, you do it and they do it, I feel that is going to make somebody suffocate and lead into asthma.
You think so?
Yes, definitely.
So
But then there's a right way of doing it.
Okay.
Now, what is the kind of perfume comes out of that? What is the, fragrance that coming out? What are you using? All those things makes a difference. This is where
So
I try to inculcate.
the thing is that's still relevant, but needs to be watched and done.
Yes, watched
Who would
and
do it?
done in the right way. Exactly what I do in my practice. Like I mentioned, I work for a corporate hospitals, and
I think
not many corporate hospitals inculcate all these practices. So I've got tied up with a Ayurvedic center. This is called as an HLC, Nature Care Cure, where they do have a in-house Ayurveda doctors. So post delivery, because I diligently take care of my pregnant women.
diet is so important, and that's
Exactly.
something that do we even really have time? Because nowadays we have nutritionists, we have a whole lot of physiotherapists, I mean Ayush therapists as well. I think now the basic idea that India is trying to integrate all specialties into one is a very good idea, is what I feel, because a lot of us won't be able to really try to give all kinds of therapies for every one of our
We
patients.
do. We
So
do.
when you say we,
We do.
you mean doctors.
As
Yes.
doctors, yes, as just gynecologists.
This sounds new to me. Like
Doesn't sound new to me because I'm already there, I would say. Because you were telling it's so difficult to inculcate
Yes,
nutrition, diet,
it's
and
very
Ayurveda.
difficult to convince them to go through this, because the traditional aspects of postnatal care is so strongly built into their minds, and especially to the parents as well. Something as simple as when after a patient delivers, or in a normal case wherein you fall down, you get hurt, what is the first thing you do? You say, okay, have a good diet, make sure you have a protein rich diet with a lot of vegetables, fruits, so that the wound heals very well. But why is it that in our community, once a woman gives birth, whether post C-section or post vaginal delivery, all of them go into a non-gluten diet, all of them go into a non-vegetable, non-fruit diet, and the first thing that you hear them say is that if I take fruits, if I have fruits, then I might catch a cold and my baby will catch a cold.
so, tell me, you were saying you've done something new in
Yes.
postnatal. Tell us more. Does this help this problem of new mothers
100%, I
with
would
this
say.
questions and there's no village around them?
I love the way you said, it needs an entire village to raise a child. I would say we need a country to raise a child. But then I can't get the country to, help with one child. But definitely, when I say me, I'm talking about my company, Aurea Care, where we discovered a village. You know what? And in this village, we have Ayurveda doctors. And I already mentioned of how I got pampered. Now, I've really been treated like the princess, the daddy's princess always, and I continue to be. So, I want the same thing to be passed on to all the women who at least come to me. Okay. So, with the Aurea Care, we have attached with a center called as HLC Ayurveda Center. It's a nature care center. And at this center, we have Ayurveda doctors, we have nutritionists, we have yoga therapists who are talking what is the right kind of diet. And this is not like a mass food session where the same food gets given to all postpartum mothers. So we tailor make it.
Exactly.
Now if I'm a diabetic and a hypertensive, my diet or my plate looks totally different from, on the same day I have another lady and she's totally normal, so her food plate would look different. So it is tailor made for every woman.
So you're pampering her in every bit.
Yes, we love pampering women. Like I said, I always feel like I already said, it's like my birthright. And I love pampering women.
New mothers, mostly what I hear is they just want to sleep. Are you ensuring they sleep well?
We ensure everything because before sleeping, we give them a good massage. And see, I was telling you of how we got, pampered. So I wanted to inculcate all these kind of things. And so we have this Ayurveda people where I really love our traditional methods. So I wanted to inculcate our traditional Indian methods.
Do
And
you think I can come as well?
Oh yes, we will pamper. Provided,
Sounds very interesting.
provided you have another child and you come along as a father. Yes, yes.
So I'll have to plan my paternity leave then.
Yes, surely. I'm sure you should.
Dr. Ashwin, tell us about your Swarga, the way you've redefined postnatal care in a tier 2 town like Salem, where your hospital, which is 60 years old, delivering about 350 monthly, and you said 10% of them are opting for the postnatal care. Tell us more about it. I'm really curious from two standpoints. One is you're a third generation doctor. So bringing in new ideas and how we evolve the practice is what most people of your peer group may be looking at. And second, how do you, redefine hospital spaces? I want to know both these aspects.
See, basically, when a woman comes to you, I mean, saying that she's pregnant, the first thing they come for a consultation is they ask you, what can I eat? What can I not eat? What should I do? What should I not do? That's the primary question they ask you. And even if it's a second pregnancy as well, they still ask you the same things. And they ask you as to what I can do better this time. So, and then now with the generation with a lot of social media and digital marketing, there's a lot of education and awareness about antenatal exercises, what to do before you deliver, what all exercises what can you do at home, what can you do outside, what can you do in a hospital setup.
But that also brings us, when we're talking about social media, I think it's very important to see what is the right content that you're looking
Exactly,
at.
there's a lot of wrong ideas being portrayed, and again, what happens is,
How does Swarga really address it? Walk us through.
what I'm getting to right
Yeah.
now. So if you look at it, I think as doctors, a lot more of us have to be on the digital platform as well, trying to educate a few people so they can educate few more and more and more and so on and so forth. So what happens is, like, when a patient comes to you for the first visit, or as soon as she's pregnant, or even if she's been seeing somebody else and comes to you for the first time, I think the idea of antenatal exercise, antenatal nutrition, and antenatal physiotherapy and antenatal counseling, because what happens is this counseling part becomes so important because they need to understand how this process goes, what is the roadmap, and where I am in this particular route, and how fast or when will I reach my destination, and how pain free or how easy it can be. I mean,
How
Telling the secret. What exactly are you doing to ensure they reach this goal there?
no, that's what I'm telling you. See, this starts with, that's what I said, counseling, antenatal exercises, telling them what they can do just before they deliver, when they come into the labor room for the first time, in labor, what exercise they can do, breathing exercises, squats, walking.
you know what the easiest thing would be, what I do in my practice is, every woman when she walks in, she gets a slip. It's I don't mind calling it a booklet. So I sit with them and then I tell them, where are we starting, what happens through each month of pregnancy, like third month are we doing our NT scan, the double markers, then when is her tetanus injection, when are we starting our iron, calcium. So this is a little walkthrough of her 9 months journey. When is her anomaly scan done, when are we checking her sugars. So I also say, look, this is my email ID and the phone number of my physiotherapist. You have a nutritionist, so this is whom you have to go and meet, and this is when you start exercise. So that entire booklet takes you through the journey. And I tell, I'm very keen on normal delivery, so I tell them, this is the person you need to go see, my physiotherapist, and she will tell you when do you come back for exercise. So that way they know, and then you just give a little bit about what would a delivery process look like. So it's more easier because they relate to you, they understand, and they have a rough idea of
And
what happens. It
actually,
hardly takes
see,
5 minutes or so.
So what we do here is something little different, because as Dr. Lavanya had said some time ago regarding emails and stuff, but nowadays, like, who has the time for emails? Everybody wants a quick yes, that's what I was trying to get to, because nowadays you can broadcast a message to multiple patients or clients, if you that's what they're being called these days. So send them a message. Like, all of us work on diet plans, all of us work on now all of us have Fitbits and all the things, I mean, telling us how many steps I'm supposed to take, what I'm supposed to do. The app tells you everything. So if you could send them a message, I think, rather than giving them something to do or a task to do every day, send them a quick reminder, because most people tend to forget that something needs to be done on a day-to-day basis.
You're saying that you have a notification based program for a new mother.
A broadcast message would give all your clients who are pregnant at present, giving them idea what to do, when to come and get back to you, when should they come to you on an SOS basis. All those things are very important. Tell them, because we tend to think that there are people in their houses who will tell them this is how you're supposed to go ahead, but I think we take it a little too lightly. I think we should give them the opportunity to understand how to do something the right way.
But mostly, I would say, when you said there are people to guide them, I think we've come down to quite a lot of nuclear families where
Yes.
they're relying on not reliable social medias, and
Yes.
things are making it more bad.
Is also contributing to one of the studies that I referred here, talking about postnatal depression and how that's rising. What do you think that this is one of the reasons?
I would say definitely yes. Because I think raising, you already said you need a village, and I said we need a country, in fact. So it's easier. And I always think, we have a lot of people who creep through the 9 months of, when am I delivering? Like how he said, most of them want to deliver early for whatever physical little discomfort that they have. But I always tell them, wait until the child comes. You are going to come back to me and say, can you put this baby inside? So it's not going to be easy to raise a child, especially with the nuclear families now, just the husband, the mom. Though we talk about paternity leave, the maternity leave, everything aside, uh, they don't know what are they doing. Is it right? Because when it's only the father, the mother, and the child can be cranky throughout, and the child cries for multiple reasons. So they have never handled a child before. So it's going to become difficult. So there's no rest, and they only have to take turns. If you have a family, then you discuss and you have a standby, they get a rest. And this is why I feel this entire conversation needs to happen from pregnancy time and not just post delivery.
That what you're saying is medicine 3.2 at Aureus and Swargas of the world?
Yes, definitely yes.
See,
Because
what
postpartum,
happens here is that, as Dr. Lavanya was saying, the focus is what matters. It's like how our cameraman told us, stay in focus, don't go out of focus. That's a very important point. If you look at it, keep the woman in focus. She needs to be in focus all the time, because even if you look at it, like, the entire family can afford to take some rest, but the mother is never able to take any sort of rest, because she's never able to predict what the child wants next. And if you look at it nowadays with holistic care, there are companies building apps to understand what a baby is trying to say with just the sounds that the baby makes. I think those would be.
I would still go back to the traditional methods of having somebody with me and helping out, because I think it's all about planning. And I don't agree when you say the mothers don't get rest at all. Definitely not. It's all about planning. What I tell my post mothers, they come back and they're literally in tears and saying, I'm feeling so low. I'm not feeling happy at all, and this is not what I imagined for myself. So I tell them, look, plan. Once you fed the baby, you know the baby's clock. It's going to cry at the end of 1.5, 2 hours. Send the baby, you get a help. So somebody takes care. And post feeding as well, you still express. So they can manage the child for another half an hour. So if the child is away from the mother gets to rest for 2 hours.
Doctors, that was really insightful for me to understand what really it means for the mother to feel daddy's princess again, especially when she's just given birth. And for all the insights you gave us on, postpartum care traditionally. But tell me one thing that's nagging me and all the new mothers that I see is they're so worried about, and this is one of the causes of depression that I have seen. They're so worried the way they look after they deliver. They just start feeling so bad about themselves and they want that attention from the husband and everybody else. Tell us how modern medicine can, help us there. This is all about Medicine 3.0, which is the best of traditional care and the modern ones. Tell us about the modern ones, doctors.
I would like to be the women's advocate. And why talk about how she wants to look just post delivery, or why look good for a husband or somebody else? And it's up to the prerogative of the mother, wherever she wants, or a lady for that matter, that she wants to look good. She wants to look good. And somehow I think we need to start talking about loving yourself, loving your body the way it is. And I think that is what needs to be advocated. And it's not about idealizing people who look differently on the screen immediately, they're coming back. And I think that is what causing more depression, the social.
Yeah, all the Karina Kapoor size zero.
I know, and all the social media celebrities, they bounce back and they look like how they looked, But then I always tell women, look, you're not a ball to bounce back and then, go back. Just love your body the way you are, love yourself for what you are. Because,
Modern medicine helps.
yes, modern medicine needs to help. This is why I said we need to start talking that the physiological change the body definitely goes through. First is to make her understand that these changes are common, and it can be worked the right way through the right diet, right exercises, which is important, and also addressing the psychological needs. Then comes, I don't want to call it cosmetic gynecology, but then I would like to call it functional medicine or the functional gynecology, because we need to see if this process of delivery has caused literally some physiological change, like post delivery, sometimes there's the lax vagina. And then because of this, she's having her own psychological needs are not met, or her own sexual needs are not met. It's not because of the partner. So even when patients come in, we talk, is it being done, or is she coming to me because of herself or for the partner? Okay. So there are different perspectives of trying to help them.
Are women open in sharing that, or is it mostly the husband who seeks this help?
I think women have evolved, and they do come. They do come to quite a few majority of them.
Bangalore, what do you think in Salem? Is that
See, I think it starts from the point where they deliver. It's like, see, the idea of cosmetic, functional, or aesthetic gynecology came to the part of when they delivered, like that small cut that they give when you deliver, which is called an episiotomy, suturing the episiotomy well, making sure that it looks like it never happened. Give that patient that extra 5 minutes, which you think that, I mean, like when they're going to come back after about 10 days or so to see whether the wound is healed properly or not. So what if you find that 10 days later, when you examine the wound, it looks like it was never there. It gives you a pat on your back telling you that how good you were with your job. It gives the patient a big sigh of relief that nothing really happened over there, even though something actually happened. And if you're able to give postnatal exercises like Kegel's exercises and all those things, and proper physiotherapy, proper counseling, then the chance of urinary leaks is a lot less. The chance that when she gets back to her normal sexual life, the feel remains and the couple is happy again. So if you can do this, you'll be doing the woman a big favor.
doctors? Thank you so much for sharing what you did in a deeply caring way. But whatever you said reminded me of this meme that I often see, and I'm like awed each time I see it. It's this meme of how a surgeon, a well trained surgeon, can be a great chef in garnishing or even cutting the vegetables. So you just reminded me that even body parts need to be treated so sacredly and made to look beautifully. Tell us a little bit more about how, at various life stages of a woman, what are some of these procedures? How should they opt for it? How safe are they? And what is the recovery? And maybe some costs as well, what it involves to opt for them.
I would only say functional gynecology is a new branch of gynecology which is brought in just to help women recorrect the physiological changes that she's gone through because of childbirthing or through menopause. And it doesn't have to be just surgical modalities.
Oh, there's non-surgical as well.
Yes, there are so many non-surgical modalities. Dr. Ashin was talking about how suturing the vagina, doing the episiotomy the right way itself is very important.
That's surgical, right?
Surgical.
But it is
Now,
something that you didn't opt for. It was supposed to happen just by itself. And and if it happened the right way, and then again, postnatal exercise that we were talking about before with the holistic care and with what we do at Swarga regarding the antenatal exercises, postnatal exercises, you start off at that particular point. So, regarding coming towards non surgical and surgical corrections, they come in a lot later. Initially, postnatally,
how many people postnatally are the mothers and the grandmothers, if they have any, are going to let them do any of
I
the
think
diet alteration?
I think this kind of fear is increasing the rate of surrogacy in India. I think we see a lot of actresses who get married opting for surrogacy rather than delivering their own child simply because pregnancy literally disfigures your body, is what everybody feels.
I'm so glad with the new ART laws, this can't happen anymore though. But I'm really.
Law saying.
The law is saying initially it was like all fancy reasons that people would go hire another lady to let the baby grow in somebody else's womb. Now there's a law, it doesn't say that you just go pick up anybody. You need to apply, you need to go through the magistrate, the advocate, get the there's a
process which
process
is
done. Yes, and why are you doing? Yes, it's a national law policy. It's an ART guidelines that and the law which needs to be followed.
But coming back to the different surgical and non-surgical procedures.
Yes, and he was talking about Kegel's exercise, the postpartum delivery process where the pelvic floor muscle needs to be tightened. And we have various modalities like exercises which starts immediate post delivery at the earliest, whenever the woman's comfortable. Doesn't mean right on the table of the delivery. Whenever she's comfortable, while we're talking about the right nutrition, right diet, and inculcating the right exercise is very important.
As Dr. Lavanya was saying,
So
make her as lazy as possible and she'll be most happy. Because
True.
making her do active, exactly,
Yes.
because making her do something actively involves her to break a sweat. So, what if something were done without breaking a sweat, or doing something on a coffee break, or getting a procedure done when you're watching a reel, watching a video, or even watching a movie?
No wonder you call it Swarga. I want to come and see your Swarga.
Giving her heaven on earth is what Swarga dreams about.
True.
So, viewers, what this means is without breaking a sweat, Dr. Ashwin and Dr. Lavanya can make you lose weight. Or I don't know, please tell them more.
It's more about, I would say for the postnatal mother, when we're talking about non invasive surgery and he's talking about a coffee time procedure, lazy women just going and sitting there. We have a lot of chairs. It gives exercise where electrical stimulation happens to the pelvic muscles, where the contractions of the pelvic muscles so much. It's like 1200 kegels over 20 minutes. Imagine, could you be doing it yourself? Definitely not.
I think I would like to correct, and
And,
nowadays it's come to something like 16,000 Kegels in
Look
half
at
an hour,
that,
is what
yeah,
people say
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
It's gone to that extent. And probably many more Kegels with many more companies.
True.
I think probably what a woman would do over a year, they'll probably achieve in half an hour.
How much does this cost?
I think a
it would
fancy, it'll cost you what a fancy dinner would cost.
or much
Yes.
lesser than
Or even
that.
less than that.
Because it depends on where you're going out for dinner.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. And the dinner goes in and goes into your thighs.
yes.
This probably helps you lose your thighs a little bit. So that way, I would say, yeah.
Doctors, we're speaking of Medicine 3.0 and we have some cutting edge technology that's on the menu. What does it mean for cosmetic gynecology? I hear of different words such as radio frequency, lasers, and other forms of, tell us more about that, enlighten us.
So the laser technology is very good where it works in different modalities like a diode, CO2, radio frequency. Here it works by tightening the muscle, increasing the water retention, increasing the blood supply, and that's how it works. And it really helps a lot of women uh, get back into their way they were pre-delivery. So that's how it works in a shorter form, I would say.
I think
Either-
I think this is something that most of us have been doing, or at least most women have been doing for many years. When they go to a spa or a salon, they get some they get face tightening done, body tightening done.
In a parlor, they're not trained.
Yes, that's the point there. This is something when you get it done by people who aren't trained, that's when something can go wrong. Like how you said, is it painful? Can something go wrong? Are there side effects? When it's done by the right person, I think there, I wouldn't say none, but very minimal side effects, if any, in fact.
Not something that you should be mentioning about. If you're getting it done from a trained person, and I think that's very important. Of whom do you approach? Where do you get it done? So the right doctor, the right place. I think what makes a lot of difference.
This is basically something what you've asked is something we've been getting done on the face, getting it done on the buttock, and people have always been talking about breast lift surgeries, nose jobs. I mean, we're looking at those parts because they're in the open. Why don't people think about the yoni down there? That's a very important point, is what I feel that our viewers should consider, that because when we look at the exposed parts, we can look at the non-exposed parts as well, because those parts which are not exposed outside are really exposed in the bedroom. And I feel post delivery, those parts tend to sag a bit and they're not as appealing as they used to be. I think those parts can be brought back to normal, or at least close to normal.
But I think it starts from talking about your problems. A lot of people hesitate not to talk about the problems, and I think it's very important that the partners also talk about it, because a lot of times either she's lost interest or she's not feeling the orgasm again, or he feels there's a lax vagina. So I think communication is very important, not only between the partners. Coming back and talking to your doctor, communicating to your doctor is also very important, so you get the right treatment.
Because
And I
at
think that's
current
very
times,
important.
you hear a lot about extramarital affairs as well. Why do people consider other options? Is my question. So, if something like this can be corrected, and see, India is one of the places where pornographic videos have been watched a lot. And if you could bring the guy's partner or his wife back to what she was when she got married, I think all these would come down to a great extent.
But then I have an objection to that, because that is what is giving into unrealistic expectations from
Yes,
the partner.
yes, yes, yes. You have to understand that you'll have to be a Saif Ali Khan to have a Kareena Kapoor. So introspecting is also very important.
How do you combine the traditional postpartum care and cosmetic gynecology approach to give the right outcome for the client? And maybe each of you can give some examples of what it meant for that person in terms of both confidence and the social surrounding around her.
If you look at it, we spoke about lasers and radio frequency and everything. On many occasions, what you find is sometimes when we spoke about the episiotomy, it's a suture a bit too tight and leads causes some amount of scarring or fibrosis or something like that, which is something like a thickened wound. It's a little painful when they have intercourse. So cosmetic gynecology, as with regard to laser or radio frequency, can help you reduce that particular effect to some extent, because painful sex is something that no couple wants. Don't you think? What do you say, Dr. Lavanya?
Totally, totally. And I have the opposite story to the same thing. The same episiotomy, the same post delivery. I in fact had a woman. It was her third delivery, and she came in saying that she was not even talking about her partner. She said, "I am not feeling what I felt before delivery." So it was not just about the partner. So we have a lot of orgasm increasing modalities and different shots that has been given.
It can enhance the
And
feel itself
yes,
altogether.
yes. So that was all. I don't think it's right for us to use any of those things. So we'll talk about orgasm shots and increasing the
We just call it orgasm shots and leave
and
it
I
at
think
there.
yes,
Yeah.
leave it at there.
I have a question right there. So, what if the lady's planning a second baby, is it safe for her to, undergo this procedure? And
Yes, definitely yes. So this lady's story I was saying, where we did the shots for her, she was super happy with her husband, and then everything went well for a very long duration. And then again, she came back almost 2 years back to me, and then she started saying, "Now my husband, I can't feel my husband." So she was trying to tell me that she had more lax vagina, because by then she had almost reached perimenopausal age group, and there was a laxity in the vagina.
And
So
again,
we
when
had,
we spoke about
Mhm.
this particular point, this idea of extramarital affairs can also be more when the husband doesn't feel that way after the delivery, right? Because he's expecting something, he's expecting a good feel. Mutual orgasm, something that we spoke about in our previous episode. But I feel enhancing pleasure is very important as well. And it can also be called functional gynecology simply because it improves the quality of life between the partners. Just because you deliver a child doesn't mean that's the end of your sexual life, right? Because a lot of people in India feel that once they have grandkids, that's where they're supposed to stop having sex. But is that really true? Is it something that they should follow? What do you think?
for me, only last week we operated on a menopausal lady. You know what her complaint was? She came back saying that she's having some hindrance while they're having a sexual contact. And when I examined her, I saw that the labia was very thick, more lax. So we had to do a labioplasty, and that is where our surgeries come into place.
so, what exactly is labiaplasty?
Labioplasty is when they have a thicker labia, that's the outer lip that in the vagina we call it. We trim it and resuture. She seems to be very happy post the procedure.
This is a new dimension.
Yes.
Like, even at menopause stage, viewers, there are things that one can do to reassure your own, sexual life, and it rekindles their confidence in several ways.
Because again, during menopause, the lack of estrogen in the body causes a lot of dryness. Using lasers or radio frequency can enhance the collagen deposits in that particular area and improve lubrication as well. And increasingly, there's a good chance of having a good relationship or good sex or better feel is if you can call it something like that.
Thank you, doctors, for that enriching conversation and redefining Medicine 3.0 for women of India. Can we have some concluding thoughts about, how you look at Indian women's healthcare?
To all my viewers, I have only one thing to say. I think the future is going to be holistic care. It's not about who is more bigger or who's lesser. It's like we need allopathy, Ayurveda, Ayush, homeopathy, all of us. And all of us working in collaboration is what needs to be the right way and the roadmap for each one of your future to make sure you're more healthier. Just that approaching the right doctor, the right place is what's going to make a difference to your life, and not just the, when I say Ayurveda, not just the roadside shacks, I would say. So please make sure that you're on the right hands to make sure you're on the right health and the pink of your health.
So my take here would be is that see, a women's care is something that which is pretty prominent in India, and rather than saying that I didn't get it, it wasn't done for me. Things are not done for people who don't cry for it. So don't think that this is the end of it. You can obviously opt for it. And again, this is only given to people who ask for it. So make sure you ask your gynecologist. If your gynecologist is not able to do much about it, ask another gynecologist. There's nothing wrong in taking a second opinion. And nobody takes it the wrong way these days.
Definitely.
Because if you don't ask the other gynecologist, you're anyway going to ask Google. So you might as well ask the other gynecologist. And
I always say, since it's a postpartum talk that we're doing, crying babies get milk.
exactly.
Only if you ask, the gynecologist is going to talk about it. But like, we said, how they're doing it as a part of the work.
So ask for holistic care because there's no end to anything. You can always demand for more.
In today's episode, we learned from both our eminent gynecologists what is holistic health and what's the best of postpartum care and modern cosmetic gynecology, or functional gynecology, as both of them have defined for us. At Aurea Care, we believe Medicine 3.0 is about integrating the best of traditional knowledge as well as the modern scientific evidence and technologies that come with it. We differ from the Western approach to medicine, which is only about medication, while we are deep rooted in finding the right symptom based and preventive care. Check out more at www.aureacare.com and sign into our YouTube channel. She's Healthier with Aurea Care. Hit the subscribe button and look at waiting to see at the next episode of Aurea Care. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, both of you.